Okay guys, I'm here today with Brian Glick. Huge honor for me and Plácido. And guys, Brian this week is shooting an entire instruction all about the side scissor, which is pretty much like from the close guard, how to cross the arm, right Brian?
Exactly.
Yeah,
right.
In my opinion, it's one of the most efficient techniques from the close guard. And I think I have the proof that Roger was really good with that.
Great.
From the new generation, Mika Galvão is really good at that.
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest weapons from John Danaher as well when he teaches close guard.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. We were talking about this before, but the side scissor position is really like, along with the clamp guard, two of the things that John showed to me pretty early on in the training, and they've stuck with me. They worked right away back then. So one of the reasons that I wanted to teach them was because I think that even if you don't have a very dynamic closed guard, if you have the ability to take your partner's arm across the center line, and you have a very simple plan, it doesn't need to be too complex, for what to do once you have that position, you can take a position like the closed guard, which is kind of neutral, and turn it immediately into a very threatening position. And so, I've always been a little bit smaller, and especially back when I started, it seemed like everybody was stronger than me and a little bit bigger. So working from underneath was always hard. But when he showed this to me, it made a huge difference. Like, all of a sudden I went from being kind of crushed underneath and flipping around, to having a clear direction and then a way to threaten people. And I think that, as you know, if you can start off with like a strong threat, even if you're not successful at it, it sets the tone for the training.
Yep.
And then from there you can kind of make decisions. So yeah, it was a really important thing. I think that he, as you know, he's not just an incredible teacher of jiu-jitsu, but like an incredible observer. And so Roger, I think, was a very big influence. This was the time where Roger was really ascending and getting to that level where, where he ultimately, really was at the top of everything. And this side scissor was really big. But you're seeing it now, like you said, with more and more people are playing close guard, because you got to hold on to these quick, fast passers.
Yeah, no, and I'm very curious to learn from how you do it, O'Brien, because every time I think about this position, I always have the gi in mind. And then you control the gi and you control the material and you cross.
Right.
No gi might be a challenge to get there, so I'm very curious to see how you do it.
Yeah, and I think that this is like the clamp. Like, it's a position that if you learn it no gi, you can use it in the gi, and in a lot of ways, when you get the handles and the grips and things like that, it becomes even easier. So learning it no gi first is, you solve some of the challenges of the mechanics, and then once you put the gi on, all of a sudden, as you know, you've got handles and grips and things you can hold on to. So should I show it to you? You want to see it? Yep. Okay. All right. So as we know, like when we're in the closed guard, a lot of the times when people are first taught closed guard, they're taught from a position where you have to work, if you're on the bottom, from a position where you're in line with your partner. So you can see right now, like Plácido, like his shoulders are in line with mine. My hips are inside his knees. He has his arms in the inside position. And then, a lot of times you're taught to try to, you're supposed to be able to arm lock somebody or like side sit up or try to guillotine from here, but it's really difficult. So what the side scissor does is it gives us an angle on our partner, and it takes our partner from a position where they have relatively strong posture.
And he's pretty neutral, right? Nobody's winning here.
No one's really winning. It's going to be hard for us on the bottom to get grips. He's not really doing anything, but he's only one real step away from getting up.
Yep.
And then as soon as your partner stands up, the dynamic of closed guard changes, right? Like, you have to make some other decisions. And we cover this in the video also, because you're not only going to have somebody down on their knees, but a lot of times closed guard is on the knees.
Yep.
So what do we have to do from here? Well, we have to figure out a way of taking this neutral position and giving it a little bit of advantage for us. And so in this case, when he has his hands on my biceps, I can't just reach across. We're going to go underneath, and we're going to focus on taking our partner's arm and getting this grip where we have inside wrist position. And you'd be surprised how easy it is to kind of get this. We're here. He wants to stop my arms from moving, but if we come through underneath, hold tight here, and we bring our left arm up, we can often do this pass off where we get control of our partner's wrist, right? We don't have the gi to grip, but we can double up this grip with what we call a 2-on-1 wrist.
Yep.
Now for Placido, this is my 2 arms fighting against his 1 arm. And that's pretty good, but it's not great. What we really want to do is we want to figure out a way of off-balancing our partner. And the way that we were talking about it in the video was that this is like the steering wheel, and then the legs are really like the accelerator, like stepping on the gas. So as we get here, as he begins to resist, we're going to bring our hips up, then we drop them down, and we're going to draw our partner forward. We direct the wrist over our right shoulder, but really what's doing the work is the knees.
Okay.
Now Placido is probably going to start to react here and want to square his body up. That's fine. We're going to push the wrist down a little bit, and then we're going to draw our knees forward a second time.
Good.
So we have 2 great things that are happening. One is we move the elbow across the center line, so we have back exposure. We can anchor that by getting a grip here. Next, although my hips are still inside his legs here, we can easily create this scissoring action. This is where the name comes from, where we straighten our legs and we turn our hips, and then we can relock.
Good.
So now that we're here, we've created an angle, we've got back exposure, and then the next thing we need to do is get our head above our partner's head. And you can usually do this relatively easily, either by penduluming up, or the method that John really focused on with me was this extension and then building to an elbow.
Got it.
So we've taken a position that was kind of neutral, and now we have an angle on our partner, back exposure, head height, and their arm across the center.
And to go from there to his back, now you're like one inch away.
It's so much easier than trying to like get to somebody's back from directly in front of them. Now it's just a matter of being able to get up and pulling yourself up, whether you do it with a long leg across like this, and some people are able to do that, or you're in a position now where you can throw 2 hooks in and start to break your partner down. It's so much easier to work for your submissions when you have this kind of advantage position.
Oh, Brian, so the beginning is probably the most important part.
Yeah.
Right? And the beginning is a combination of using your arms and using your legs simultaneously.
Exactly.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I think that sometimes in jiu-jitsu, we talk about this in stand-up, where when the arms and the hands are working, like, we forget about our feet. And then when we're standing and we're focusing on our footwork, we forget about what our hands are doing.
Okay.
And so, as you know, in jiu-jitsu, the better you can coordinate your grips at the upper body with your legs, the more effective your off-balancing is going to be, the more you can really like harness the power of your lower body and direct your partner. So like a lot of stuff works like this. One of the other grips that we use to expose our partner's back is like an arm drag grip. So sometimes Placido's arms are not fully extended here, and he's playing back a little bit. His elbows are on the outside. So if we can get an arm drag grip, it's pretty good. Now, most of the time, Marcelo was known for his arm drags from open guard, butterfly guard positions, but closed guard too, it's great. The thing that we have to remember is we have to use our legs really to generate off balance, because, make your body strong here, please. If I just try to pull Placido's arm across the center line, even with 2 arms here, it's not going to work that well. But if I can create a little bit of off balancing with the legs, now you've got the position, and it's all about then that angle and getting some head height. And now you've got some choices. You can always just move to your partner's back. You can stay underneath and climb to the back and all these things. So not only is this an important lesson, I think, for like learning how to play close guard or attacking side scissor, but anything you do in jiu-jitsu is really going to be about your ability to coordinate how you use your upper body and how you use your lower body, right? I mean, same thing is true for half guard, right? I mean, when you're playing your
pretty much, because for example, talking about the single leg half guard, I was on the knee shields, and for me to get there, I had to use my legs to kind of like push them away and get engaged with them. So yeah, I agree. I fully agree that's a huge advantage when you can use your both arms and legs in the same time. Right. And figure out paths there.
Yeah, and I think that even you see this in a lot of other areas too, like even guard retention. Yep. I think there's a big difference between people who use just their arms for guard retention, and people who use just their legs for guard retention, and then people who use both.
Yep.
And you'll find that people whose guards are really difficult to pass, you tell me if you agree with this, but like people whose guards are really difficult to pass are really great at posting, framing with the upper body, and using the legs,
I
inside.
agree. Oh, I agree.
So I think that, yeah, like developmentally, it's really good. It allows someone, even if you don't have like a great closed guard, to become a really threatening player from the bottom in this way. Yeah.
Oh, and so the entire instruction was all about how to cross the arm and everything from there, right? Go to the back, attack the arm, and the different grips on how to control the arm.
Exactly, yeah. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to give people, as you said, like the initial part of it is really important. So we focus on gripping, because if you're not able to grip well out of the initial position,
nothing's going to work from there.
Nothing's going to work. It's going to be hard. So we do focus a little bit on gripping. Entries, and then there's like a core dilemma here. And, you know, as you know, like from doing so much work with John, like the idea is that we're always looking to create a dilemma, because then you're setting your partner up for having to make a bunch of bad decisions. The essential dilemma here for side scissor is between getting to your partner's back, right? Which if you get the arm across the center, you can see the back and climbing. And then if your partner crowds you, now looking
for sweeps
or
from arm attacks
from underneath. Exactly. Or coming up high and looking to begin to attack.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
So it doesn't need to be, you know, I think that one of the challenges that people face is that jiu-jitsu can be very complicated once you start to, like, once you begin the decision tree. One of the reasons that we're focusing on this is because it's relatively simple. That you have attacks to the back, which everybody knows, you know, is a very worthwhile approach. You have sweeps from underneath, which when you're playing closed guard, you already have your legs around your partner, so it's like a good way of starting to threaten them. And then attacks to the upper body. And we also have attacks to the lower body. So it's just, you really hit everything with this.
No, and the fascinating thing about jiu-jitsu, I think, is exactly this, because it's one move that you can literally like pull up like 30 different techniques around this move, you know. So I'm glad you're doing this instruction, like all about this, versus doing an entire closed guard thing that you would spend like two or three moves on this. You know, like, so.
And I think that, you know, like John, Gordon, I know Giancarlo, like there's a lot of great material on the closed guard as a system as a whole. So what I was saying in this video is, we're not trying to do a deep dive into the whole closed guard, right? Rather,
only on this segment.
Just this one, because if you become really good at this, a lot of the other things become much easier.
I fully agree. So guys, as you guys are seeing, Brian shot an entire instruction all about this, all about the side scissor when you cross the arm. And it's very interesting because it's no gi. I think you can find materials about this with gi, but no gi. I don't remember anybody focusing so much on that. And so make sure to check it out. It's going to be at bjjfanatics.com, and maybe by the time you're watching, it's already there. So check it out, and thanks so much.
Thank you, Bernardo. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bernardo.
Please help me out to grow my YouTube channel. Just click subscribe. And to watch more videos, just click under see more videos. I hope you enjoyed.
BJJFanatics.com. Use the promo code YouTubeFaria to get 10% off any instructional video. Improve your jiu-jitsu faster.